Time two, last episode.
Guys, this is Alainta letting us know that finally her mic was on sync. So
unfortunately, nobody ever donated. That's unfortunate, but yes.
No.
Are we gonna set this up as a business so I can write this off? I spent like close to over 200, about 250, 270.
It's nothing compared to how much money that Lovely is dishing out here in her business.
Guys.
Are we getting a bonus?
There is no bonuses. There's no bonuses. There's nothing. This is
nothing is going on. This is the worst Q4 of my damn life. That's just the honest truth.
Damn, hit the worst Q4 in your life.
Yeah, it is the worst Q4 of my life.
Anybody gonna do an intro at some point? Somebody gonna do an intro?
We're gonna do an intro, but you guys know, like the listeners know. You guys should know. We're gonna do the intro, and the intro might happen in 5 minutes into the show. So it's gonna happen. Okay, let's be serious. Let's be professional. Lawrence, go ahead and do the intro.
Well, thank you everybody for being part of this conversation. You are welcome to join us as part of the Financial Griot network of folks that get together, listen to this kind of information. You know what? That was really good. I don't even know where I was going.
That was good.
That was? All right. Listen.
Like, wow. Okay.
Oh my gosh,
Lawrence.
You're such a professional. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Thanks again, because we're actually hitting a lot of subscribers. We're hitting a lot of likes, and we're getting a lot of reviews from the audience. Why are you doing a little eye thing? Like as if, hey, if we get 5 subscribers, that's 5. You get on it. All right.
5 more than yesterday.
I'm happy with my 5. Like, it's what it is. I know we're not ranking in the numbers, but we're having conversations that matter here, and this is why we're known as the Financial Griot. We're 3 millennials who are pushing our own personal finance journeys to the forefront, building wealth and changing our community. And ultimately, we just have conversations back and forth, understanding of where we are, what's going on in society today, and maybe even some things that are impacting our daily lives in hopes that you can use some of those tools for yourself. So yet again, thank you for joining us. My name is Lawrence, otherwise known on the interwebs as the Neighborhood Finance Guy. And I'll allow the rest of the co-hosts to say themselves. I feel like I was like Beyonce or something. I'll allow the rest of y'all to do what y'all do.
Y'all see this, right? So you know who's gonna create a solo podcast.
It completely turn. You're like, hey, my bad, guys. I was out of nowhere, solo journey.
Yeah, some people are experiencing that. It's not going too well for them. So no, it wasn't shade. Like this is happening multiple. How many groups and music groups have you guys not experienced?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was talking about music.
What Atlanta? I really somebody else go next. Hey. This is messed up. This is messed up. The shade.
What's the I mean,
an unintentional shade.
Yeah, I think it was unintentional. It was just ironic. We were just talking
lovely. Say who you are. What you doing?
Hey, everybody. My name is Lovely Merdelis. I am the CEO of 1159. I run a consulting firm and a business incubator. So this is what I do every day to help businesses go from idea to scale. It's one of the favorite things that I do, even though sometimes business be kicking my butt, but it's also really meaningful. And I can't wait in the next 10 years to see what this comes out to be. So as usual, thank you for listening to Financial Griot.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Alainta Elson, the other co-host. You guys treat me like a stepchild. I am just here, money enthusiast, blogger, 9-to-5 CEO, just building wealth and sharing stories that matters and actionable steps to get you to an abundance life. So I'm excited. I'm here. It's a great Saturday morning. I got my Christmas tree up. Bruno over here bothering me. It's a good life. I have my hot tea in my hand.
It surely is. Oh, I don't know if I haven't been in the group that much to tell you guys. So we launched the e-commerce yesterday. So that's pretty cool. It's stationary. So I can't wait to see it because I've helped a lot of like other small businesses or even medium-sized businesses as well, like launch e-commerce stuff. So, but to be on this side of the launch, I feel like so bad to the way I used to talk to my clients because I would be like, okay, I don't understand how you're not getting this stuff done. And then realizing it is a lot of like pressure and you have to kind of start it. But we made our first $133.97. So 24 hours, we made $133. It's not magnitude, but it's better
than
than
that guapo. Secure the bag.
I need to check it out because I need a new calendar. I need a new calendar for next year.
No, we're gonna see Lovely out here in some luxury travel real soon. Luxury travel, Birkin bags.
Did you? I know Lawrence watched it. Did you watch it? Watch it, Lovely. The video that we Lawrence posted in the group yesterday.
No, I like mostly I've read everything you guys said, but I haven't gotten a chance to like read or go read the content or watch videos just because of the fact of like we just been in launch mode and trying to fix everything else. Like on my docket on like Asana, that's what we use for project management. Like everything is red, just red. But we're troubleshooting the problems, and some of it is just a matter of time. There's nothing that I can personally do to change it. And I think that's probably what sucks sometimes. Like you're going to hit obstacles that you just have to wait for a solution. And so like getting in touch with our CPA, getting in touch with like the people that we need to, because I'm supposed to do a whole episode about this on the Financial Griot about like how scamming has actually started to affect like how the payment processors are dealing with businesses that are new. Essentially, they're being a lot more thorough, a lot more back-end information because people have been lying and causing them trouble. So a lot of times, like in this case, they're like, oh, well, we're going to have to hold funds for 90 days so that we can make sure that this is not fraud, which then impacts our cash flow and impacts so many things for us. And so going through that really taught me like people in our society, like we need to understand that when one person is doing, like when a group of people start doing a lot of stuff, it starts to impact a lot of people, like not just you, even if you're doing the right thing, now you have to go through these processes or hey, let's do a financial review because where are you moving this money? Like, who are you? How you got all this? And they're asking a lot of questions because people have been essentially lying. But I'm gonna do a whole episode on that because I think it's really important for us to understand as a community how falsifying documents, not doing the right things, essentially fraud, scamming doesn't only impact you, but it impacts how companies start to move for newer businesses. So anytime you start a new EIN, it's a fresh business. So it doesn't matter that I have all this experience. It doesn't even matter my personal finance. They're just looking at it as a new business. And some of these places, or some of them are a little bit harsher than others, but I really want our community to understand, like doing these things in the long run, we become very, very impacted. So the people that do want to do the right things, you're getting obstacles because that's what's going on in the industry. So that's why you see they're like, oh, we need to figure out what y'all doing with Cash App because there's a lot of fraud on Cash App, believe it or not. There's a lot of fraud. And so Square that owns Cash App and all these things, they're being more prudent and just seeing how things are being processed because they're aware of like the bad things that are happening. So
that's a great segue. Let's go ahead and just jump into that part.
Yeah. I was gonna add here. Well, I'm gonna add this to that idea is that it does affect everyone on even the micro level because if it's gonna cost Cash App and even Square and all these other apps more money to do all the extra level of scrutiny, they're gonna pass it along to the consumers themselves. So that's where you're going to see more increases in rates, fees, and so on and so forth. The same thing that you're seeing in the restaurant company, especially when you dine in or dine out, they're adding additional fees. This is also going to hurt a lot of small businesses, especially mom and pops, who generally they don't have a lot and they've suffered through the pandemic. So they lost a lot of inventory opportunities. So they're trying to get scale back up to full production and full capacity, but they're not going to be able to have the same access to the capital because of the new levels of scrutiny. So a lot of moms and pops, especially like where we're from, South Florida, where they probably didn't have their documents, their paperwork's right, none of that. So now they got to go back, which was already a problem, but then now they're going to go back to a bank that's a little bit more tight on, how they allow this money to flow. And it's going to really hit them hard because they don't know what to do. And then they're going to internalize it and think it's just, they awfulize it. So it's about me, it's about my color, it's about my ethnicity. And then everybody, goes into another circle and silo as they lose more and more money.
Ooh, it's a circulating impact on us, especially when it comes to small business owners, Black and brown business owners specifically. So it's really a domino effect when it comes to that. Like, have your paper in order, have your processes and operations in order. But going back to the fraud and scammy culture, because I want to know what you guys think about this. And we discussed this on our group about.
You've been trying to push this scam conversation for a bit. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No, it's a good stuff because there's a lot been going on this week or this past week.
Oh, wait, but start off with, tell us the story about the last time you almost got scammed into an MLM. Did you ever tell us this story? Did you tell the audience the story about when you walked in and the guy? We gotta tell people stories.
Somebody's about to get put out, and I am ready for it.
I'm dropping names too.
Wow! We don't have a lawyer.
So it's not a specific name. It is a. I guess it's an Emma. They sell insurances and different financial products. What's the name of it? We spoke. Huh? Primerica? Prime America. Prime America. So this guy approached me. This is maybe 2 or 3 years ago, before I bought the home. This guy approached me in Publix. So there's an environment with Publix, or I'll say a energy in Publix, that sometimes you feel that people are trustworthy. So for some reason, it's not Walmart, right? So we were chatting about something. I don't know how we got to the idea of supplemental income. And he was like, "Yeah, we're hiring whatnot," and the fact within that, I asked him what was the job description, and he did not tell me. He did not disclose that, but he like, yeah, just come to the this address. He had a business card and everything, and it wasn't too far from the shopping center, maybe like 10-15 minutes away. Yeah, he's like, yeah, we have an office in the suite, we do trainings and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, because I'm looking for an extra job, a part-time job. He's like, yeah, we'll work with you, flexible income, we just need like administration work, so maybe you could come in like for a few hours out the day. I was like, perfect, because I'm remote, I can do this, whatnot. I get there, and I guess we made it at the same time, because he pulled up and he went upstairs to the suite. It was other people there as well, and I seen the logo when I was sitting there. I seen the logo, and I'm like, why does that look so familiar? I could not think of him. Like, it feels off. I just couldn't think of the name. Like, the name just seems so familiar. It says Primica. I'm just like, why didn't they sound so familiar to me? So I'm waiting on him. We're in this office, right? I'm just waiting on him to come in. So I'm thinking it's gonna be like a formality of an interview or something along those lines. And he came, right? And it's an African dude. He came and he just pulled out this pamphlet. It's like laminated pamphlet with all these, I don't know, I guess this is his presentation. I don't know what it was, but he was like, yeah, we offer these services, and these products really help people create this generational wealth. And we want to make sure that our community, like, he had all this kind of set up. I'm like, and I'm like, am I sitting in on MLM? Like, what is going on? So I told him, let me step out for a second. I got to take a call. Lying. I have to take a call, and I just like immediately start Googling, because I forgot to mention, when I was in the lobby, I was trying to Google the name, but for some reason the Wi-Fi just wasn't hitting. So I was just waiting there, and I'm just like, this name sounds so familiar. And he's talking to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think this is an MLM. And I stepped out, and when I walked out, I guess I was getting the internet connection. It connected, and you like Google just, come up with, generates all these articles about Primica. Is it a scam? Is it MLM? Is it a pyramid scheme? I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been bamboozled. And I walked back in. I'm like, thank you for your time, but I have to go. He's like, oh, you're not interested? I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm all right. Thank you for your time. And I just walked out. And I remember messaging you. I recall messaging Lawrence about, I'm like, I've been bamboozled.
Oh, you set yourself up. It's a lot of levels.
Up to
a lot of levels of desperation. I would have actually never went back in. You're a better person than I am. I would be like, I'm out. I'm good. Like, I don't give people like an answer for that. Like, I don't owe them anything. I'm out of here.
You're right. But I think
Yeah, you're just a better person than I am. I'm literally that cold. I'm like, you wasting my time. I'm out of here, man. Like, I take my bag, and I'm that meme. Take the bag. I walk away. Like this
Yeah.
could have been a meeting.
And how he said, from what I remember, keep in mind this is a few years ago, so I'm just trying to get part of the memories of what occurred. But for the most part, he was saying is that yeah, we pay if you pay up front, you know, we'll give you the reimbursement for your tests and stuff like that to get you trained on board. And I'm like, so what are you selling? You're like, oh, you're selling these products trying to get people, you know, to make sure they're insured, like all these different stuff. I'm just like, mm. And I
Yeah.
can't, I can't, because I'm just happy I'm older and I'm a little bit more evolved and I can identify these things. But just imagine if I was like, you know, 10, 15 years younger, or if I was in a position where I desperately
Needed money.
needed
Yeah, but
money
they have
to
people
go
that are
in.
doing this in their 40s, 50s. So I think even the age, like I think it's
It
circumstantial.
doesn't matter what
Yeah.
age.
It's
yeah.
multi-generational scam.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with this, you know, your level, not necessarily just your maturity, as much more it is your financial security and how much you want money, or what do you want from money, and what money
Yeah.
can do for you. So in truth, some people really just use money to buy luxury so they could look good. So that's more important to them than whatever work that they're doing. So it's like your brain operates in an interesting way. It can protect you from harsh truth that you don't want to know, because you're telling your brain like, hey, I just want to get to point A to point B. Your brain's like, well, if we technically, if I don't allow you to think about this as a scam, screw that. We could also just focus on this dream that you want. So it's like, I always try to explain to people that your body itself, or yourself, is encompassed in three ways. It's your mind, your body, and your soul. Your soul is really the driving core directive, right? Your mind exists to run your body in a sense of like the operations, and your body just exists to, you know, kind of give you, you know, all the mobility and whatever you need. So every piece of it is working together, but your soul interjects as to what direction you're going to go. What is your will? What is your fortitude? What do you want? And then
It's like
you could
a moral
override.
compass or something.
Yeah, but you could override your brain. Like you tell your brain something, your brain's like, well, I guess you're in charge. So therefore, this is what we're gonna do. And that's what your brain works on all day. It literally tries to solve the questions that your soul are asking it all the time. And your body just kind of like, well, I'm just here to try to survive as much as I can. I'm just helping y'all out because y'all in me right now. So ultimately, some people are very much desperate when they walk into scenarios like this, and they close their eyes, they close their moral clause. They don't care what it takes. They just want the money so they could, you know, live that lifestyle.
And I understand now more than ever, like fast cash do not last at all. As quick as you get it is gone even quicker. You know, and I think there's something to say when you do work hard for something and work for your money, but also just having the processes set up and the system that's set up in order for you to kind of get to that point of making more money, because you're learning within that journey in that process, right? But for me to sell other people this idea, if we want to say this idea of, you know, creating wealth. I hate when these MLMs and all these other organizations put that within the context of it, creating wealth. I'm like, how, Sway? How? Explain
like,
to me.
like I tell
How?
people all the time, like street smart dictate, if you are that wealthy, if ever you get to a point where you're so wealthy, then you're not trying to convince somebody to join anything. That's how wealthy you've become. In truth, you don't need to sell anybody your product because you live the life. They come to you. People don't like, Oprah is not selling us anything. We go to Oprah every time. Like nobody's selling, like Oprah is not selling anything to anyone. We go to Oprah because she's established herself in such a way that she's profitable. And then people just try to follow her and try to get on that coattail. A lot of these salespeople, they wrap generational wealth, because that's a key term. That's the it word term now to get people hyped. Generational wealth within this wrapper of insurance. Like, hey, you just use your insurance to create generational wealth, but it doesn't freaking work that way. I'm gonna keep it real PC. It does not work this way. Your insurance is supposed to protect your assets. That is it. Rich people, the quote unquote, it's like they'll be like that. That's the statement they always say. The rich people, they have the whole life insurance. I'm like, nah. Do you know rich people like that? Do you know multimillionaires? Yeah, the billionaires like Bezos and whoever, they all have whole life. Like, you don't even know these guys. And she's, so you mean to tell me they have a whole life insurance policy for like what, 3 million, 5 million. Your guy's worth for $1 trillion. You think he gives a crap about insurance? Like at that level?
T, with a capital T.
Like $1 trillion. You think he cares about some millions? Like, no, that's a low end stuff. They present this especially to very much desperate people in poor Black and brown communities. And a lot of times they present this information, which is sadly enough, predatory enough to women.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the biggest target audience. If you can convince women that are poor that this is a great opportunity for them to kind of build their confidence, their reason of being, whatever it is, to own their existence, that kind of stuff. They've been selling that stuff for years.
Yeah, and
granted,
it's so fortunate. Go ahead, Lovely.
I think, granted, what's interesting about this is that I think this is why, I think I've said that to you guys all the time that are doing financial literacy, that stories like you guys matter, right? Like Alainta's story matters, because I think it's important for women, especially, to see that there's multi-levels to actually being wealthy. And it's not wealth like only about net worth, but it's like a whole 360 thing. And anyone that's promising you something that's a quick fix should be a red flag, because if you're talking about, especially when you're talking about generational wealth, right? Wealth that's supposed to last beyond you, you start to have to think about just like farming. It's a seed that needs to be watered. And if somebody just telling you, just put this, put the seed in, tomorrow is going to be, $1 million, or tomorrow's going to be 6 figures. I see that in the inverse of people telling people like, just open up a business and you're going to be able to build generational wealth. And what I keep telling people is business is just like it's a vehicle, right? And let's say your destination is to get generational wealth. The vehicle might help, it might add on to, but it's not necessarily the engine. There's multiple factors that everybody's doing to build wealth. Like you look at someone like Jeff Bezos that created the business, right? He's huge. It's something that Amazon has eaten up the world, has taken up the world. But how many years was Amazon not anything that we knew about? How many years, how many work that he has to put in? I don't even think when he was going into it, he was thinking, oh, this is going to build generational wealth. He was literally thinking, okay, I want to build a business and let's see how it works. Let's see what the market demands. And by proxy, he became wealthy by doing it. But I think there's so many things that so many habits that we need to form. And I think one episode that we could definitely get into is the habits of wealth. And clearly it's not quick scheme. It's not just doing this one thing. And I think Lawrence alluded to this when we used to do Clubhouse, and that's, I'm going to insert that. When we used to do Clubhouse, consistently for our 5 or 6 people that
straight up abandoned,
people feel rejected.
I got on y'all about that, abandon these people.
Wow. Hey,
they're reaching out to me since I'm PR.
Hey, reach out to the 5, the 5 directly. Say, I apologize. Follow us on podcast.
We need a statement.
We need a statement to be out here, but no, seriously, that we don't know, right? So when we say that this person does this, we don't know, unless you do, because some people do have access to these people and they're having conversations. I've never heard from any, like, even I was mentored recently by someone and they have a good amount of success. And when I started asking questions, you know what they were talking to me about? It wasn't products, it wasn't anything, it was a mindset. It was there like, what's your habits? How do you wake up in the morning? What are you feeding your body? I'm like, no, that's what I'm asking you. How do I scale this? How do I scale this? This is the question. How do I scale it? And they kept telling me, Lovely, how's your health? How are you sleeping? How are you waking up? How are you thinking? How are you speaking to yourself? And in that moment, something happened. I'm asking for the answer, but because it wasn't what I wanted, even though it's the true answer is when you are at peace within yourself and you are taking yourself, you have better ideas. That's what he was trying to get me to understand, was the business will grow as much as you're willing to grow yourself, because then you'll be able to ask the questions the way you need to ask them, show up to the meetings the way you need to show up. And then your creativity would essentially begin to flourish. In that moment, after that, those conversations, I realized that what happens when people ask about how do you build wealth, they've already made an answer in their minds. They've already said, oh, you build wealth by what I see some random person on Instagram. I'm not gonna say her name because we don't got no lawyers. So we ain't gonna say no name.
We don't got no lawyers.
They got no lawyers. because this person portrays a particular lifestyle, they were able to allure people into particular products and things that were not necessarily the best. And the reason for that is because of the lifestyle. But then when you really talk to people that they're not trying to be on this road, they've walked it, they've passed it, they are telling you about being patient, going through a process, your mindset, integrity, knowing when to pivot, knowing when to move fast. And I started to realize that wealthy, and even in the concept of spirituality, comes from a place of tranquility and peace. It comes from consistency. If we flash back to every one of our money story beginnings, we started to do things that change our environment and our thinking before we ever got to the money part. I remember Lawrence always talks about that bike ride, that 75 miles that literally broke him. And like,
had nothing to do with money, but it's a lot.
Exactly.
It was a moment for me.
It was a big moment. I don't know if you ever shared that moment here on the podcast. You want to share it?
He has.
Yeah, I probably did.
I remember
probably did
on Clubhouse, but I don't remember if we talked about it on the podcast.
But if you have, we got a lot of episodes back.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Lawrence had this story about his bike ride that was really like, it changed his life, and hopefully, I don't know what episode, so we can't even loop you in. But essentially, there were moments that really made us make bigger decisions that had nothing to do with actual transactional money. It had to do with mindset and personality and environment, and that's what being in this show, or like doing this financial griot, and we're seeing it through stories, and we're talking about like, hey, yeah, people have scammed, yeah, people have done these things, but what we're really trying to get you to understand is, what is your origin story? What is your beginning? And what do you need to unlearn so that you can actually truly live a wealthy life? Are you doing it because you see it, or are you doing it because you have a mission and a purpose and something that you want to reach to? That origin story is what's going to determine the actions you take coming up. So I encourage everyone to take a step back when opportunities are being presented, count the cost of the opportunity, and know that you will get to the point where you're compounding, where like money begets money type of thing. Like it just starts to become, it's manifesting even more and more. But before that, you have to deal with the thing in you that wants to rush the process, because maybe God is taking you through this particular path because he knows that even if I gave you the $1 million today, you wouldn't be able to even steward it. So it's about stewardship. It's about purpose. It's about understanding, and find out your origin story so that you don't get bamboozled. You don't get fallen into things that's going to cause you more trouble, because the people that do fall into it, it doesn't only cost them money. It costs them the one precious thing that they cannot get back: time.
Going back to what Lauren said, and both of you guys alluded to, in terms of women who are like the most, I guess, motivating factors when it comes to like the scamming culture, MLMs, like we're like pushing the forefront when it comes to those things, and quote unquote creating wealth for our families, that and such. But why is there a gap, or there's a division or a disproportionate volume of women who are not discussing financial literacy? So we're in the forefront when it comes to LMMs and these pyramid schemes and this lifestyle consumption. But when we're talking about really creating a wealth of life that is proud of not just consumerism sort of wealth, but a wealth that is like an abundance of life that you're really proud of. But yeah, we don't really discuss when it comes to financial literacy, because I'm saying all this is simply because a coworker, a good friend of mine, he became a good friend of mine now, and he just told me straight up, he's like, Alainta, like all my year, we're like a year apart in age. He said, I never met a woman, a female, that's been so goal driven and talk about personal finance as hard as you, in a way that is fun, in a way that is understandable and digestible. I haven't seen anyone or heard of that before. Why are we pushing consumerism and MLMs and all this fast cash? But if we are sort of say our leaders, our communities, why there is a gap, or women don't talk enough when it comes to financial literacy?
I think also
heavy stuff. Go ahead.
It deals with two factors, but for me, my environment's different. So the women that I have around me, like my mentors and everything, since I was like 18, 19, that was always a conversation. It was always something. It took me a while to really understand why it was a conversation. But like the women that I talk to, we're always like, we have a group chat that we talk about our financial goals. We talk about our obstacles and everything else. So I'm coming from a whole different environment, but I also put myself in that environment, right? I was seeking after that. Whatever is your desire, right, becomes the what's that thing? There's a word for it, but like it becomes your mantra. It becomes what you kind of attract. And for me, it's just like I don't want to repeat the same things, but I think we have to, if we're going to speak about this, we also have to speak to a culture that tells women that you don't have to worry about money. That also it's like, oh, that's a man's thing. Like they just, like the man will worry about it. The man will worry about it. There is that much of a culture. Like when you even go like looking in the past, like when did women have the capacity to actually open up a bank? Like how long ago was that? We think that was like so long ago, but it really wasn't. So there's been a culture of the man's the head of the household. He needs to worry about the finances. And we're still kind of, even though the dynamic has shifted, we're still living in those what I call undertones of conversations. Like when women ask for raises, when women talk about money, we're also pushed in a way like, oh, she's a gold digger or she's this. There is a negative connotation for some people that there are when women start having ambitions at that level. Like you can, I see the judgment when I say I want to have like an 8-9 figure business or I want to talk about those numbers. I'm saying people are pretty much projecting like, oh, you're not humble. But if a man that had a startup said the same thing, it's like, oh man, he's ambitious. When you do it, it becomes a whole different connotation. It becomes, oh, you're not docile, or you're not necessarily, you're one of those, or you're going to be the type of woman that judges a man because of how much he makes. So there's an undertone in our society that how we speak about it matters. And if we do speak about it in a way, then you're also ultimately highly judged.
Okay, that's a good point. That's actually a great point that you made. And I want to say not only is it an undertone, but it's the actual theme that we're seeing culturally right now, around the eco streets, social media, but just in terms of conversation and how people behavior is consumed when it comes to this sort of influence, right? Lifestyle influence. When it comes to specifically Black women, I am seeing and realizing the theme of all this Black luxury, consumerism, capital, like all this that is going on, is more about Black women want easiness, like ease. They no longer want struggle, right? And that's the struggle of love, struggle of finances, struggle of racial inequality,
Yeah.
struggle of
Going to work and have
equity.
to be somebody
Yeah,
else.
it's that struggle when we're discussing about Black women, right? And when you have that theme, when we want the easiness of life of our counterparts, so quote unquote, we don't know what's going on over there, but that's what we want, right? The easiness of that life, we are not realizing that it's apple to oranges of comparing each other, but it's more or less of feeding into a lifestyle that does not contribute to the real wealth of what you need, not only individually but collectively as a community, right? um the video that Lawrence dropped the other day, I know of her. Like I have listened to her channel a few times, but she broke a lot of things down, whereas it does not benefit us as a community, where this luxury and this this sort of like lifestyle spending or lifestyle inflation, everything that we're doing. Because she mentioned, she said a quote that I really like. She said consumerism is being promoted as liberation, and I think that's what we're seeing, is that we want easy life and we want something soft, because Black woman has been depicted as struggle. We have been depicted as
Strong.
a strong life, and we have to consume everything and all things because we're Black, and this is our struggle, and that we're strong. We have to do it, right? And we're seeing is that not only do we have luxury and we deserve luxury, and we feed into this, high consumerism, but this is what Black women should be, and that should not be the case, right? Because most of us, many of us, when we look at the stats, are way behind when it comes to finance independence, financial security. They said over damn near 40-50% of Americans don't have $1,000 in their account, and over 46% don't even contribute to their retirement account, right? And many of our elders and our family members will retire with no retirement planning, no money at all. So there's a lot of setbacks that we don't identify, that we don't look into, but we're feeding into this life and esteem that we deserve luxury, but we're not understanding that luxury should be seen and identified differently to help us in a way that is collective for our families and generations to come. Lawrence, you quiet over there. Lawrence, you really drinking that tea? Lawrence said, "I'm sitting
Yeah,
back. I'm
I'm
letting
not
the
even
woman
drinking tea.
talk."
I'm drinking coffee. I was like,
Lawrence, like, I am just sitting back letting the ladies speak.
Yeah, it's a heavy question that you asked, and I think it's very layered in, quote unquote. I guess I'm gonna use some of the talking points I heard before. Is it's layered in misogyny, or basically the way that we've constructed a universe or a world, a society in which, as far as I remember it, women used to be more so at the home, and the guys were traditionally the breadwinners. That started way back in regards to, hunter-gathering society, which the guys went out to hunt for the food, and the ladies kind of tended to the area. At first everybody just hunted for food, but eventually they kind of stratification of how many people you have, who's doing the best work wherever. The women stayed at home with the kids, the guys went out there to hunt. It translates all the way to modern times. Like the guys, especially back in the 50s and maybe 60s or early 70s, the guys went out there with the job because they're the only one that had the job, the skilled labor. And then eventually through war, modernization, and basically loosening of all these like social constructs, women started working. As such, back in the 80s, 90s, and all the way to today, what ended up happening is that the world started to globalize and change, and a lot of those primary jobs that are very physical in nature, basically based off of men, kind of got phased away. So that's the blue collar job that we talk about, and that's generally not around anymore. And I guess especially in urban centers, and for a lot of millennials, they really don't exist. We had to shift towards service industry, which who was in the service industry, primarily women. So when women are in this industry and they're now making money, they're stacking all the bases. They're the managers, they're the staff, they're also the leaders of those companies or whatever it is. They end up making a lot more money than the men. And as you stated, it's interesting that because of all the lack of prior generations, like your grandmother told you, I don't want to struggle. You saw your mom making food all day without any level of like real like love and adoration from the men. Like the guys want to say like, oh man, I love you, babe, blah, 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 blah. You didn't even see that. You didn't even see the pat on the back. You didn't even see nothing. You just kind of saw the guy eat, get out, get from the dining room, and he went to his room, and she ended up cleaning the dishes. So you saw a lot of this, and a lot of younger ladies internalize this as more of like a thankless job. To be a housewife, to be a woman is a thankless job. So as such, they devised another way, which is just say, hey, I just want to live my life. And it started little bit by little bit. You see the celebrities living, their dream travel, and then you and your friends start doing it. And now it becomes a part of the culture, especially for millennial women, especially for black women. I'm not going to say black and brown. I'm just going to say straight up for black women that in the end, it's costing them a lot. It's costing them everything. A lot of black women are coming out of college with rightfully earned degrees, but also with the debt from those degrees as well. So you're looking anywhere from $40,000 to $150,000 worth of debt, depending on what you're working in. Without the proper financial knowledge, financial wherewithal, you end up just kind of spending your way, over and over again into oblivion. And that's actually very sad because it doesn't have to be this way. You find that a lot of people are generally unhappy. They, you go with your friends, but you wish you went with, the guy that you liked versus like every time you say, I'm going to hang out with my friends. Really? If he was a guy, you would have been like bailed on them like yesterday, like deuces. It never happened. Like girls trips would kind of die as soon as that happened. But ultimately, because you don't have anybody, you're trying to share it with anyone. And that tends to be your best friends who are also struggling. The problem with that is that as you guys are hanging around and dating each other, you're not dating anybody else. So because of it, it ends up being a perpetual cycle. And it turns out to be more expensive because people are living in urban centers where the cost of living is a lot more expensive. You can't buy a home, you end up renting more, and you end up spending all your time and all your money from your work to spending on your lifestyle. And eventually when you do retire, you retire on one income and you retire broke. Did that cover just about everything?
The pro in that the pictures are fire.
Oh yeah, the pictures are fire though. Like the Birkin bags, the whatever other bag, the Maltese dogs, the poodles, and everybody has one of those. But in the end, and some ladies got cats. No, some ladies got them cats. You know,
Thank you. We out
you
here.
know, yeah, you out here with the cat ladies.
Thank you.
Still in the zone. So ultimately, it's sad because in the end, I think you're right. Women should be having this conversation more and more. But it also comes down to do some women want to even have those conversations? It's like Lovely stated, she has the conversation with her peer group. She's having it with you as well. You're having it with some of your friends, but there's a lot of other women and then a lot of other men as well who don't really want whatever we're trying to present here. Yeah. I think that's what we don't necessarily reconcile. We think that everybody wants financial freedom, but in truth, everybody just wants to, I just want to ball the hell out, Lawrence. Leave me alone. I don't care about this retirement. Yeah, I don't retirement, all that stuff. I ain't about that. I'm just trying to ball out and floss this weekend. I'm just trying to enjoy my life. And that's really what people have to kind of make peace with. Some people just don't want whatever this is. And I made peace with that myself. I'm like, yo, I'm not dumb. I literally like to travel. I really like to learn different languages. I like to cook different food. I like to meet different people. I'm that person. It doesn't translate to everybody.
Oh, that's why you say your male friends are trash.
Dang, I said, hey, that was a conversation point. You know what I'm saying? Like conversation.
But yeah,
and the ladies are trash too. Oh,
you know what?
Yeah, look at you. Look at you. So your friends are trash. Like, let's go with that.
Friends are not
trash. Wow.
Let's go.
Wow. My friends are not trash.
And the fact that you're laughing and trailing away, it lets us know.
It never was denied.
I did not say that. I did not. You know,
never denied.
Let me turn off my mic.
It's like, so ultimately, it's a very interesting space that we're in, and it's also going to get worse for people. I think part of that video of Kim Foster, I think that's her name. I forget what her brand is, but Harriet, she's been like a YouTuber. Yeah, for Harriet or something. For Harriet, yeah. She's been on YouTube for a hot minute. And I think she's trying to make a point as well. I think she actually listened to this podcast. She made a reference to listening to a podcast about Black luxury. And I think that was a thing about us.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure it was us because she mentioned someone in there. I'm like, I don't think that was us. That's
I think she the way she sounded, I think it might have been us talking because she mentioned it on podcast
got featured too, so I'm pretty sure it's circulating.
Yeah, it's probably circulating.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a small blurb of what we kind of discussed, but ultimately, what she's saying is that yes, for the ladies that are making a lot, which is the same thing like we saw with the rappers and athletes back in the day, there are some people making a lot of money, but there is an entire community that aren't making at all anything at all. And that's where we really falter as a community because we're surrounded, the people that go to college are surrounded by other people that went to college, are surrounded by other people that have jobs, are surrounded by other people that own homes, or have stocks. And we start believing that our small circle is the truth for all Black people, but in truth, it's not. And like, oh yeah, your homegirls might be doing well, but there is a slew of other women making less than, believe on average, Black women are making around like less than $40,000 a year.
Yep.
And that's drastic.
And compared,
yes, because the average is already 40, but there's a lot of women working minimum wage jobs that we don't really, we don't think about it because we're living in the sense of like, oh, I always see my homegirls.
We're almost
like
in a bubble.
Everybody's dressed up. Everybody looks good. Everybody's going on whatever. All the photos look good. But if you take away all of that, and I tell people all the time, get on a metro bus straight up for a day if you needed to to really kind of commune per se with your own people.
I just go back home and I see that.
Like straight up, like, yeah, when you go
I
back to your hometown, you sit there, you're like, this is who people are. They haven't gone as far as you've gone. They don't, like, even by internet almost like reference alone, they don't go, like, they don't access the internet like we do. They don't Google everything like that. They might hit the YouTube, they might go to Spotify. They don't really interact with the universe the way we do. So you have a whole lot of people that are really out there on the fringe, and that I don't know why, but we're neglecting by virtue of being ourselves. We're insulated.
Do you think the stories that we do here is almost like I guess the word is anonymity?
Like the exception to the rule.
Yeah,
like,
when you
it's
think
like
about culture, and we always get the stories and the narrative of a culture that's like you mentioned, college educated. We're surrounded by young professionals, millennials, homeowners, stock owners. We're talking about money, we're talking about something cool or whatever, but we're missing like a huge part of this other Black community that is not being represented or in these stories, in this narrative. Do you think that has been more at the forefront too?
I think that's the problem, and it's part of what, even in financial planning and financial advisory, that's why I kind of rail against that machine, is because 9 times out of 10, they do not offer products for people making under one. If you're making under 100K, they kind of look at you with the side eye. If your investments are under 100K, they look at you with the side eye. The average financial advisor, planner, whatnot, they're looking for clientele that has a good enough portfolio. Good enough being, if you have north of 250K, maybe we'll talk. If you have the 500 stacks for, portfolio, 401K, yada, yada, we can talk. But for the 9 times out of 10 people that's making $30,000, that's not a conversation they want to have. Because you might in truth, they can't really help you invest because they don't even know anything beyond, like the normalcy of like, hey, you got to learn how to budget, manage your money, all that stuff. They're not offering products for people like that. They're literally offering only products for people that have certain level of means and access, likely the top 20%, maybe.
I disagree a bit because...
No, go ahead. Disagree. I want to hear this. I want to hear. I feel like Kevin Stanley. I want to hear your facts. I want to hear your facts.
No, when you say about products, understand that they're sellers, right? So it doesn't really matter in terms of how much money you're making. They're going to sell you a product to make you feel as though you need this in order to, like we mentioned earlier, create wealth or secure the bag, secure whatever money that you do have. So if because I had someone reach out to me, a college homie of mine, and we were talking about this insurance. I don't know what's it called. You may know, Lawrence, about it. Secure your income, right? And it's
like universal life index or something like that. That's what they're selling nowadays. It's a whole other level now.
Right, something along those lines. So they're not pushing like Roth or like, oh, you're in your 20s, you're not making that much money. They're not pushing Roth or anything or all these like great financial products that'll be able to help you because of compound interest in your age, right? In the time that you do have, they're pushing like, the life insurance, whole life insurance. Well, if something happened to you, make sure you have this. Like they're pushing some sort of product, knowing that it does not benefit you. So I'll say I
yes,
agree,
it's
but I don't.
Yeah, it's twofold. I guess I need to separate that. There are financial advisory sellers. Gotcha. Which are only selling insurance. So they're selling to anybody, family, friends. If you're poor, rich, it doesn't matter. That's what they're trying to sell. They typically only target poor people because the rich people are gonna look at them like with the side eye because they might know better or they already have their stuff. The other people, the financial advisors that are fee only, fiduciary, and maybe on the higher echelon of it, the real ones, they don't really offer products for poor people. So there's like two things that's happening. There's the idea that people are being priced out of financial literacy, like you just don't make enough money, so we don't care. Or the idea that you're being priced in out of financial scamming. Oh, I got real deep. Oh,
that was a bar.
Yeah,
that was a bar.
You got Lovely in the corner. She's in the corner, like taking notes, like coding.
That was a bar. Seriously.
Yeah, it was. That was a smooth.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, a lot of sense. It's actually sad though. It's really sad because the people that need the help the most. And this is why I do what I do on my website or what I post online, because I'm trying to get to those people that was kind of like me, where we didn't come up with a lot of money at all. And it's okay to not have a lot of money to invest, not knowing all the details, and to just kind of get into learning, getting to a pattern, getting to like, you don't have to be a bodybuilder. So me to kind of like take you to the, tell you what you could use at the gym to improve yourself. And I think that's where we're at. We're trying to tell people to be something down the line as top echelon professional. I'm not telling you to be a multimillionaire. I don't care if you're a thousandaire, but I just want you to be able to just manage your money better so you can sleep better at night. That's it. If we could get Black people in our communities to sleep better at night, what type of community we'll start having? It'd be, in my opinion, be amazing. Like ever since I've been quote unquote richer, like when I hit that zero market in net worth, I literally felt like I wanted to jump in the air, freeze, and just like sit there. Like it felt really good. It's like it feels like you hit like $25,000. You're like, your face. It feels really good. And eventually, as you gain more and more money, you don't take or internalize every person's opinion or response or reply as an initial attack on you. And that's part of that confidence that I think a lot of Black and brown people are suffering from financially, that creates these inequality of means that force people into spending a lot of their money to try to buy items that they perceive to add value externally that other people will like, that it's just to get validated. Yeah.
I think what's interesting about everything that you just said is something that I was talking to someone, one of my good friends actually this week, is that when you are unconfident, when somebody is confident, it can come across as an attack. So let's say I'm hearing like, hey, I'm a good writer. Maybe you don't feel like maybe you want to write, but you're afraid to write. And you're like, oh, why they got to say all that? Why they got to be so confident? It's because you are not there. So when we talk about being at peace at night or this and third, you know what people start saying? Well, it's not all about money. Well, it's because you don't have it and it's stressing you and it's pushing you. So you're really pushing back because of your own insecurity. And what Lawrence is alluding to is when you get more confident and you are at more peace and you have less issues in terms of like figuring out what's going to happen next, you actually become more still. You're in more stillness. Things don't impact you the same way. You realize that, oh, this doesn't even matter. Like I have bigger fish to fry. And you start to move differently and more confidently in the world because you are at peace within that, in yourself, and you're not in chaos. And if more of us were not in chaos, then we would be able to tap into the creativity, which brought me to what I was saying that mentor was talking to me about was how is your eating? How is your lifestyle? How is these things? Because when you are in those good spaces and you're treating yourself good, you think differently. When after transitioning from Florida and coming here, I was just like, I was worried about some dumb stuff. Like this was dumb. This wasn't worth my time. This wasn't even something. I'm out here reading books on a Saturday, chilling at Barnes and Nobles and learning stuff. And I'm excited and I feel good about life. And I'm like, whoa, what kind of luxury is this? What kind of, I'm just going to go ahead and buy me some book. And it was just like, wow, versus you were in drama that didn't even matter. Like, people hating on you because you had skill sets and things like that. But now you don't even see them. You don't even realize that they exist because you're in this flow. And I think it's been amazing for me, even like with like some of the obstacles that in the last couple of weeks, it's just like, who are you that you even got to the point to be able to do what you're doing now? And so it gives me like this centralized piece of understanding and of becoming. And I think, guys, it's just worth it. But I'm going to share something on Instagram that Lawrence posted. And I think it'll actually be really good to like read through this. I can't say all of it because I'm pretty sure there's an F word in here, an F bomb. I promise.
It's an F bomb in there? Okay, go ahead. What I posted?
Yeah, it is.
I'll be posting and be riding out. I ride out.
Yeah, he did. So I won't say that. But I'll read it. The same people that said school is trash benefit from their degrees. Rappers said college is for suckers are getting degrees. People that said get your money in the streets are winning and investing. Same people that told you renting are owning. I've watched people mislead, miseducated, private, and people's lives, messed up their lives. Seriously, be careful who you follow. Your trajectory and prosperity is not guaranteed. You need to be on track to win this race. Stop letting strangers keep you off track. This is exactly what we started the conversation with. Quality education, discernment, being at peace, and I just want to kind of wrap up with an actionable item, because we've been probably recording for a bit here. Take an inventory of who you're following. People sometimes are telling you things that they themselves, like, it amazes me, like, especially like even with the rappers about the whole college, that like now that they can quote unquote get into Harvard or quote unquote get to the Ivy League because of who they are, they go get the degree. They do these things. Like even Karen Civil, she had already had like a successful career, and she went to, I think it was her MBA or something from Harvard in business school. So it shows you that some of the things that even in our culture and people are saying these things, but sometimes again, when someone doesn't have something, it's easier for them to say, oh, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that, because they don't have it at the time. Oh, why you invest in the stock market? It's unstable. Wait, question. Have you invested in the stock market? Nah. Do you even know what the stock market really is? Man, I just heard, oh, so you're judging something that you have no idea about. Okay. You got to be careful of who you listen to. You got to be mindful. So take some time to audit. Who are you following? What are you watching? I'm not against people sharing their luxurious lifestyle, but I want you to understand that there's so much more context to what you see. And if you start feeding it, I don't know if you realize, like there's a song that's been like trendy on TikTok, and it's like Material Girls, and everybody's doing these like luxury things. And I realized that if you keep feeding yourself these level of content, these level of lifestyle videos, you might find yourself doing things to get things that won't even last for you and be meaningful for you in the next couple of years. So don't push yourself to become something that you're not and pay the price that you don't even want to pay. Because I think what's going to end up happening, people are going to start doing more stuff that are not illegal, that are not right, to get these things. And we're going to start seeing people, you're going to start seeing the lawyers and the DAs and everybody saying, yo, let me talk to you. And it's going to be like I saw this one girl that's on TikTok. She's talking about how she got sued by Nike for $1 million because she was counterfeiting shoes. So she was making buco money and living the quote luxury lifestyle. And I like her because she talked about her wrongs and her accountability, and she made better decisions after, but she really admitted that she was pushed to do these things. Why? Because she wanted to have the lifestyle. She wanted the quick fix. So what I'm saying is there's no quick fix. Audit what you're following and realize that it's feeding something into you. And I don't want to be fed crap. There's too much good food, too much good stuff that we could be feeding ourselves. And that's a shameless plug for the Financial Griot.
I was just going to say.
Dang, that's a great end to the episode.
So
landing
real.
out here. Wah. Like, okay, all right. Well, my name is Lawrence. You can find me on my website, www.theneighborhoodfinanceguy.com. And you can also find the Financial Griot on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. Now we're like Atlanta, like we're as desperate as her, trying to get some, begging people, like, share, subscribe. Other people like us. We were featured on the Motley Fool, All-Star Money. People actually like us in these streets, and some people having conversations about it. Just join the 5-10 people that are. So add yourself to that. You might be number 11.
Yeah. So double back on what everyone says. Great conversation per usual. Again, my name's Alainta. You can find me on IG at it's Alainta, ITS_Alainta, ALAINTA, as well as those YouTube streets in there, posting when I want to post. So yeah, just subscribe and share our podcast, or just leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. The audio is on point now. We actually listen and read your comments. Take all those constructive criticism to just better our podcast, better these episodes. But yeah, great episode per usual. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys.
All right, that's the wrap. Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.